I'm Tamika.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is Not Tea podcast.
In this podcast, we talk about our real life experiences of being Black women navigating white wellness.
Which is just a microcosm of the world off the mat.
Is it tea if it's just storytelling?
Let's talk about it.
Hi, friends. Hi, friends. Hi. I hope that you are doing well. Hope that we're all doing awesome. Because we're going to just jump right in to, with a nod to the Yoga's Dead podcast with which everyone should listen to. And also, we have a new thing that we actually think killed yoga. Well, I do. I don't know that I've convinced Ashley yet. It might be. I might have to talk her through it.
This could be the moment. I'm prepared.
Okay, so have you ever gone to a class and the class is advertised as one thing, and you go to the class and you're super excited about it. You get there, and it's a totally different thing.
Yes.
So
big time.
Why do you think that is? Why is that? What is happening with that? Like, what is your guess on all of that? Because I have a guess.
We go through these cycles of like buzzwords, buzz phrases, like this is what's trending right now. Like the number of times, especially with online yoga stuff right now, that I've clicked in to take a yin class, and I don't have the training in yin that you do, but I have some basic understanding of what it is. And that's one in particular that I'm like, I'm not the professional, but I don't think this is yin.
Yes, it's never
What are
yin.
we doing?
It is
What
never
are we doing?
yin. It's never, it is, I know never is a strong word.
Yeah.
Never. It's never yin. I'm just like, this is gentle, or this is restorative, or you go into a restorative class and it's like gentle or soft or something, but it's not restorative. And I'm just like, what is going on? Listen, I know this is very specific to yoga right now, but this is a much bigger problem. We are just coming at it from we're entering through the lens, with the lens of yoga. However, this is happening in whatever industry that you're in. So for me, this is what I call SEO SEO killed yoga. SEO killed yoga. SEO.
SEO killed the yoga.
Radio star. Okay.
We don't have rights to that. Stop singing.
Also, thank you for that Gen X throwback moment.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
So for those of you who do not know what SEO is essentially all of the key terms that get you found through all of the search engines. There's only one that matters. But anyway, all of the search engines. So people are really into, so marketing will get what's trending in yoga, and they'll find out trending topics, and then they'll market to that. But the things that we're doing in the studio didn't change. They're just marketing to that.
Yeah.
And I know this because I'm deep in SEO hell right now. I will say this. The good thing is that I actually do teach yin. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when people find it, at least they're going to actually find it. But yes. I don't know.
So instead of searching for yin, you need to be searching for Tamika Caston Miller. That's just a general rule in life of all the things that you're going for. Just search for Tamika and you will get what you need.
Listen. You're gonna get some things. Nothing that I'm ashamed of, I don't think. I mean, also searching Ashley Rideau. I mean, actually, what's really funny about searching you up, because when I was trying to like do things and put you on my website and all these things, I was like, wait a minute, this is her acting website. And I was so confused because I was like, there's nothing yoga in here. And I was like, Oh, maybe there are two websites.
Yeah.
But
There are.
I love that you came up for acting and all of your acting work. I mean, come on, y'all. Like, look at this diva. Like, hire her for acting things. I mean, I don't think you really necessarily want to be in like the House of Dragons universe, but something else.
I mean,
Bridgerton.
if the pay is right, if the pay
She's
is right, if the role is right, let's go.
like,
Right.
I'll be some, Highlander witch in,
I
in some
will
castle.
I feel like I could be a great witch.
You're so kind. That would definitely be acting for you.
But I think maybe that's the fun of it, that it's something that it's so
You're putting on.
just and putting on. Or, like not all witches are bad.
True. I mean, look, my family's Creole, come from Louisiana, definitely have
Samesies.
some definitely have some hoodoo in the family line. So,
Yeah.
in fact, my great aunt. But that's a story for another day because that's the episode when we figure out how we're related.
Yeah, because we're definitely related. There's some there
We
it's
have
there.
to
It's there.
be. We also both share a gap, which I used to be so sad about because no one had a gap, and like
Yeah.
now I find it so endearing, and I'm just like, that's my gap. Like that's me.
I had my gap closed when I was in high school. Yeah. And not like braces closed, like just like two chiclets in the front of my mouth. Like they added bonding to my front few teeth to close the space. And I remember my dad was like, that was what makes you you. Like, so I'm glad that he talked me into going that route because it wasn't permanent. It lasted a lot longer than they thought it would. But
Oh my gosh, I
yeah,
can't
it's
even
so
imagine you without it.
without it. Yeah. And now I
I
had
mean,
someone recently come up to me and they were like, "Do you know in my country this makes you like royalty?" And I was like, "Where is your country and should I go? What does
I
that
mean,
mean?
I feel like
Do I
we're
get a property? Do I get land?"
I feel like we're definitely descendants from some kind of royalty. I mean, first of
Yeah.
all, like, my boy, just us.
Queens.
But even with that, I mean, even with all of the veneers that we see in Hollywood and with models and yogis alike, and it's like, it's another thing where it's just like advertising that you are a certain way when you really are a different way. And that's fine because if it makes people feel good about themselves, I truly believe everyone should feel good about themselves. There's this
Yeah.
big argument right now that's like about Ozempic, what do you think? And I'm like, I think it's not my body. That's what I think about it. Like, I
Yeah.
think everybody gets to feel exactly how they want about themselves. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
whatever they do for that, that's that's their shit. That's not my shit. Why are you trying to make
Yeah.
everybody else's shit yours? So for
But
me
this I
though,
I
this is
oh no, go
different.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is different.
Hmm.
What were you
And
going to say?
I was gonna say to bring my two worlds, the yoga and the acting world together, and this like wrapping it back around to this SEO bit. This is like rule number one so much in your photos and like getting headshots when I
Right.
first was starting out and then being like, it needs to look like you. Like we want to put all this polish on it and switch this and Photoshop stuff. But at the end of the day, if you get called in for a part, they're going to see you. Like it has to
100%.
look like you. And so the same thing that I get the wanting to play the game of like right now this is what's hot. So let's package this as this, but at the end of the day you have to realize someone's going to walk into your studio in person or virtually and
Word.
recognize that this is not what this is.
This is not what I came for.
Yeah.
My thing is that for my studio, we have a whole thing that's written in black and white that you must teach within the titular integrity of the class. If it says that it's therapeutics, it has to be therapeutic. If it says it's gentle, it has to be gentle. If it says it's yin, it has to be yin. Because here's my thing, like, I know what those look like and feel like in my body, but someone else doesn't. And that's the beginning of the teaching.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of the teaching. What if I'm walking in with like something that just went terribly? Or like right now, so y'all don't know, I was trying to get Ashley to lie down and record this because she's not feeling well.
I'll start
But
to
like,
lean. I'll start to lean as we continue on.
do the south side lean. But
Yeah.
it's like if you a restorative class might be amazing for you right now to help pacify your nervous system. And if you go into or turn on a class that is supposed to be restorative, and all of a sudden they're like, we're going to have a nice, gentle, flowing. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I came here with my
Mm-mm.
pillows, my bolsters, my blocks, my straps, my blankets. Like, I am not here for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And what is that feeling that you get when you realize you're not getting what you said you were getting? It's for me, it's that moment of knowing, like, it's like a little trigger.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely sets up those flares of like, well, I don't trust you now.
Right.
Like, yeah,
Right.
I don't trust what that situation is. And again, it's very easy to say like, name it something else. This class is relaxed deeply, and we'll use different modalities to accomplish
Yeah.
that. So sometimes it might involve some restorative. It might involve some gentle movement. Like n- nothing wrong with making those shifts, but you need to speak. I mean, it's right there. It's right there in the eight limbs. Truthfulness, satya.
And one could also argue that it is harmful. It creates harm, for people to think they're getting one thing and they get a whole other thing, because again, the trust is lost. And it's like, well, what else are you going to lie to me about? Are you going to touch my body when I haven't consented for you to do that? Like, there are so many other things that it triggers, and it pisses me off because studios do this all the time, or they're like, look, like, yin's really big right now. Hello, dude who does power vinyasa. I'm going to have you teach this because you are a very popular teacher. And usually, in the teacher's defense, they will usually say, I'm not trained in this, right? Oh, it's fine. It's a little this, it's a little that. I trust you to work it out. And so then they go on to like YouTube to figure it out. And what do you think we find on YouTube? Because SEO killed yoga.
Yeah.
So if you like, all on YouTube is also not right. If you go in there and you look for like yin yoga, it's like what is some of the first, there's a very popular YouTuber, yoga YouTuber, and like I went on and she's like, and I can't even remember what she's like pulling on
Should I
something or
search
in
it right
something.
now?
Yeah, let's like they're
Let me go to the log. Let me see what I can find when I just type in yin yoga.
Listen, audience, go and type in yin yoga in YouTube and just see what pops up, y'all. Just see what pops up. It's like, I mean, okay, granted, now because I have curated my YouTube a bit, it's showing up properly.
Hmm.
Um, but before I will say it was not it. I am looking at something right now that is definitely not yin. So I'm just like, why? Like, I think the bigger issue is that question of trust. Like for you, what are you, what do you see as the slippery slope of all of this, or of that issue?
This is the moment where, like, if you're not watching this for the description of what just happened, Ashley's head fell, hand head directly into hand. Um, um, well, I feel like it's perpetuating ignorance, is really what that boils down to. So if I'm coming into a space and not knowing what to expect from that, like, especially now, more and more people are going into yoga because their doctor or their physical therapist or somebody has recommended them to go do this thing, right? Or a therapist, or, so if someone is told, we really think this will help you with X, Y, or Z, whatever's going on physically, mentally, emotionally with you, they do their little Google search, find the spot, go to the thing, and then that's not the thing. One, we're perpetuating harm, potentially, if they're showing up in a place that is actually not suitable for what is happening in their being at that point in time. And two, let's say they go, they're not harmed, but they don't get what they need, or they leave confused, or the class wasn't in service of what they were expecting, then that prevents them from potentially finding the thing that could be helpful to them.
Yeah.
Like, I think very clearly about the fact that we're experience-based humans, right? So if I have an amazing experience with something, now I run the risk of forming an attachment to it. And that's a whole other side story. But this is natural human behavior. I attach when I'm like, this was great, I love it, let's do that again. And I develop an aversion when I go into something that it's like, this was not right. This was not what I thought it was. I didn't enjoy this experience. Something was off about it. And both of these things show up as obstacles for reasons in life, right? It's not great to get attached because now we're trying to recreate the situation again and again and again and again and again, and no two situations are the same. With the aversion piece of things, I then often end up, what's that horrible saying? Throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But it's like, now you've not only broken the trust with you as the teacher and student relationship that's here, but you may have set someone off of this path altogether.
Yes. Not to mention that just what's labeled as yoga is actually not within titular integrity of what it is. She just laid down.
Yeah, it's
She
happening.
just laid down.
Let's really get into it.
I mean, here's like also, you sit there and you have people who are like, yeah, my so and so, my provider of XYZ, mental health, physical health, whatever, said that yoga would be good for me. And so then this person goes in and stumbles upon, a class that just like kicks their ass over and over again. Now, as a person who loves, like, I love a strong flow. I teach a strong flow. I love a strong flow. I acknowledge that my version of strong flow might look different than someone else's. I'm not going to have people running acting as though they're in a sprint. Like for me, it's a marathon,
Strong
not a
doesn't
sprint,
have to
right?
be fast.
Right. And that's one of the things there. But also, there's going to be some teaching that happens. Like,
What?
My thing is this: telling people how to get into shapes is just logistics. The teaching happens before or after that, and somewhere in between, and things like that. Like, there's still all these frameworks that are happening around that about. By the way, I acknowledge that that's also kind of a judgmental way of thinking about things, but are you instructing or are you teaching? Like, you can do both, right? Like, you can have a little bit of teaching at the beginning, have a little bit of teaching at the end, have some little things that happen in the middle. Don't over instruct things, give people space for whatever to happen. But I just think that the SEO term of fitness is huge, and yoga
Hmm.
studios are using it left and right and really doubling down on yoga as fitness. And I just don't understand why they don't double down on yoga as mental health or yoga as wellness. Like, I actually asked that question to a
Yeah.
marketing professional,
Uh-huh.
and she said wellness doesn't hit as hard as fitness does.
Okay, but I feel like this is all chicken and egg thing. Like, is that being perpetuated because someone, like, based on old narratives, based on old stories? Like, great, yes, speaking about wellness in the grand scheme of things is much newer than talking about fitness. Fitness has been on the scene forever. But I feel like there is a turn more and more to looking towards wellness, and mental health at this point in time. And so I think it requires people, we've got to invest in the shift. Like,
Ooh,
if whoever is making the time right now, like making these rules, that it's like, well, fitness is the thing, so we're going to keep putting fitness. Well, then of course fitness is going to keep showing up at the top of the list because you keep perpetuating that.
right, right. Invest in the shift, y'all. This is another shirt that we're going
Yeah.
to come up with. We're someone needs to start taking notes of the things that we're going to, like, literally. What do you want to perpetuate? Like, as people, we are either promoting harm or the harm's opposite. I truly don't believe that there's necessarily something in the middle. I don't think that this kind of state of non-affecting exists. I think that humanity, we're always affecting one another for
Yeah.
good or for good's opposite. And it's like, I are people, do they just not give a shit about what that word, how loaded that word is, and how conflated it is with wellness, and
Mm-hmm.
how it perpetuates diet culture, how it perpetuates harm, how it engenders fat phobia, how it engenders ableism. Like, that term expects for a thin body to be a fit body. And you and I have been in the yoga world long enough to know that many of the thinnest instructors, or the apparent, the to the eye fittest instructors we've ever seen, are not well, are
Yeah.
using loads of really harmful methods to appear fit, but are
Yeah.
actually not, and harming themselves to look a certain way. We know this. Like, this is the truth. Like, this is what truth speaking looks like. And, but if you look this way, you're fit, you're well, you're a yogi. If you look this way, you are unfit, you are unwell, and you are a slothful creature that needs to figure out why you're in this space. Like, there is, like,
Yeah.
it really hits along those lines.
Yeah.
So that
Exhausting. It's
it
exhausting.
is
You
exhausting.
mentioned something, and being part of this shift and being part of this change, and how it's like, I can't remember exactly what the wording was, but the whole thing made me think about, um, going back to the doing no harm piece,
Mm.
right? And we translate this word ahimsa in Sanskrit often as non-violence, but that is like talking in, I think at face value we see that and it's like, okay, well, don't hit people, don't do this, don't do this, but it doesn't necessarily speak to, um, what we're trying to do, which again, I was always taught as I was coming up as a teacher, like, don't tell people what not to do, like, guide them towards what to do. And this is something that I always appreciated about, Jessica Char's translation of this, that he spoke of
Mm.
ahimsa as having consideration for all
Mm.
living beings. And so, what if we made the radical choice to, like, instead of just the avoidance of the thing, can you take the next step and, like, actually choose kindness? How can I go about putting in the effort to speak to the wellness in this case? What am I doing? How am I showing up in that way? Um, I guess making it more active is the point of what I'm getting to, that it's not enough to sit back and say, I'm going to stop doing this, but it's like,
Mm.
what can I do to break the cycle? What can I do to move the dial forward?
Mm. Animate compassion.
Yeah.
What can I do to animate compassion? What can I do to animate progress? What can it look like to do something more than just something on paper? And the other piece of that, I think, is that if we understand that SEO and marketing is behind brands that have a lot of money,
Hmm.
brands that have a lot of reach, that have, millions of followers or hundreds of thousands of followers. If SEO, that is marketing, is determining what is the messaging of the wellness world, then it is almost impossible for the wellness world to be well, because marketing is not coming from any lens of anything you just said. Marketing doesn't care about your mental health. Marketing doesn't care about your wellness. Marketing cares about doing its job. And I'm not saying marketers, I'm not saying the people behind marketing. So for
Yeah.
those, so don't come at me, heads of marketing. I'm saying that the
Yeah.
job itself is to have to be able to convey a message that then results in people purchasing a product. And that's the job of marketing, right?
Hmm.
And in this case, the product that people are purchasing is yoga. So if you have to use trends, and if you have to use key terms and things like that in order to attract people so that they purchase a product, and the product is yoga, that makes the yoga commodified, which is its own issue. You are listening to This Is Not Tea, sponsored by Soul Garden, a Substack that centers lessons from nature and offers meditations every week guided by Tamika. Also, Yoga with Ashley. Find all of the movement and mindfulness practices anytime, anywhere. Let's get back to talking about it. You are coming to equip yourself with tools that you can call on when the shit hits the fan, when you're on a grief journey, when you are ill, when you had a diagnosis that you weren't expecting, or someone you loved did, or all of those things are a part of real life, and we're working to reduce suffering and minimize it in the future. And it's
Yeah.
really hard to do when people are coming and it's like, okay, time to get ready for bikini season. I'm going to get you strong. And it's like, okay, I want to be physically strong because
Yeah.
I want this body to take me through life,
Yeah.
but that's what it's going to do. It's not the physical body isn't going to necessarily get me through a grief journey. I'm going to need some other tools for that. So
Yeah.
it's not saying don't make people strong. It's not to say that there isn't an element of fitness to the postures of yoga. There are, and it can be very, it can be a hellacious practice, right?
Yeah.
But it is to say that that's not the only thing that it is, and it is not a fitness practice.
Yeah.
Fitness is in the practice, but it is not a fitness practice. We are like these studios are lying to people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
call it something else. Don't call it yoga. Just call it something else. But they won't, because yoga is also a trending topic.
That part. So how do we make the shift? How do we be solution oriented around this?
we we have to animate the shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
like like you were saying, when you have a thing and it's a problem, at some point we have to be a part of the shift. And I think, in my heart of hearts, I believe that with all of the leadership coming from our Daisy yoga siblings who are out there saying, hey, look, we're Indian and we do not agree with you all using this language to describe what you're doing, because that is not what the practice is, or that's only a
Mm-hmm.
very small part of the practice. I have so much faith in our South Asian siblings who are speaking truth to power
Mm-hmm.
and are saying this is what it is, and actually calling on people to name things differently. I have faith. I have faith in them to help us shift. And I have faith that there are teachers who will listen to that and who will shift with it. And I've witnessed it with my own eyes. My question is, while there are very large studios, virtual studios especially, who have funding that is coming from people who are not yogis. So there are people in the C suite who do
Mm-hmm.
not do yoga, who do not know anything about
That's the
yoga.
corporate suite for those that are not familiar with that term.
Mm-hmm.
C-suite, corporate. Carry on.
Mm-hmm. They're making decisions over who the teachers are based on their influence, based on their Instagram presence or their TikTok presence, and then based on trends. So as long as that is happening, there will be a problem. But I believe that there are more teachers than there are studios. So
Mm-hmm.
if the teachers will get out there and start being, if we will actually start saying things differently, I firmly believe we will shift the culture. I think we'll shift the trends.
Yeah, I like that. What do you suggest to those that are like me that are uh I'm playing the game. I'm trying to play the game. But I just don't have there's no part in me that's like I cannot wait to go and make some videos for the interwebs. Like the when I share something on my Instagram, it's really truly coming from a place of like, in this moment, I want to do this thing and I want to share this thing, right? It's very difficult for me at times to put that business hat on. And I know people are like, you need to post every day, you need to do this, da 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 da. And maybe there's a little bit of the contrarian in me that's like, and I don't want to. And it's not my
Yeah.
truth. But also, my truth is, I guess it's just figuring out that balance of like, I am a business. I can't deny that, like, what I'm doing is that. Like, I just want to be in the yoga. So, what is your recommendation in finding, if you have one, this balance between walking your path, walking your talk, being in your practice, but also having to show up and like play the
Yeah.
game.
I think I I'm navigating this as well. And I do believe that what has helped me is, well, there are a couple of things. The first thing is Tracy Stanley said to me, books don't make you rich. You don't get rich off of writing books. And I always remember thinking, but I thought, but actually, if you think about it, books codify one's knowledge, they cement a person's knowledge and their expertise. And then people start coming to them for other things like,
Mm.
speaking engagements and things like that. And that's how people get the income. And then it sells more of the books and then they do more of the speaking.
Yeah.
So for me, I think understanding that Instagram followers or your number of followers gets merch. It gets merch. It gets, it might get you some free stays but it gets you lots of free things.
Hmm.
But I don't believe that Instagram followers necessarily convert to get finding your students. I think putting your work has people find their students. I mean, their teachers and students find each other through the work. So I believe that the more that we put our work out there, like who we are, what to expect, when they're in our classes, I believe that our people will find us. And I think it's just a
Hmm.
matter of being in integrity over what we put out there in the world. When I look at what people have to do in order to have, hundreds of thousands of followers, I'm not going to do that. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit here and and have social media run my whole life. There's not enough merch in the world to justify that for me.
Yeah.
I would like for people to find my offerings, and I know that that's easier when people find me. Um, but I know that through nothing but putting out things that I would put out in the world that I put out in my classes. I mean, I've doubled my following. My following is still under 10,000, probably not for very much longer. Well, at least on Instagram. Um, and it's fine. Like that number is whatever it's going to be. The people that I have found, like the person who I found, speaking of marketing, like someone who is a brilliant branding person, but who
Hmm.
lives so deeply in her integrity, Sarah Schultz, I'll shout her out here. She has a yogi's brain and a value system that aligns with mine. That's one of the things I really like about her. Is she's about, hey, like, don't change yourself to sell your shit. Like, be yourself and find the people who want to support you.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that that's the answer. Just put out what you put out a little, let your social media be a microcosm of what people will expect in your class.
Hmm.
This is also why I don't necessarily follow accounts that are nothing but someone else's quotes, because
Hmm.
I'm like, what are you doing besides mining other people's intelligence and putting it out there like it's your own? It's not.
Yeah.
So that's my suggestion. Now we'll see how it works.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Um, I will say something that Tamika touched upon in a recent training that we were co-teaching, as it talked about business of yoga and SEO, and something that I was like, oh, this is an important little tidbit that I don't know that a lot of people think of, or maybe it's maybe the newer generations, they're just know to do these kind of things. But like this idea of when you're creating your website, when you're putting any sort of image on the internet somewhere, that you need to name it.
Mm.
Name that image. Don't let it just be image number 52679 or whatever it is, so that people can find you.
Well, it's
And I
also
was like,
accessible. It's
yes. Yeah.
accessible. Like, can we just make things more accessible? when we start having to name things, the shit you put out changes too. That's
Hmm.
what I've also realized. It's like Tamika drinking a cup of coffee and talking about yoga. It's like, I mean, like it's like, okay, maybe it's just like Tamika drinking, black woman with dreads or black woman with locks,
Yeah.
drinking coffee and talking to a friend. I can't quantify that what I'm talking about is yoga. So maybe I need to rethink the image that I'm also putting out there. So like
Yeah.
as we're naming things and ensuring that what we are putting out in the world, you know, like names have their own integrity. I'll say this one last quick thing because this was something that was like this was huge for me. So my daughter, came out of me. So every now and
Hmm.
then she sends like these really huge things. She's in her own world and she has her own life, and she and her hubby, my son-in-law, they've got two kids, so they're very busy. But every now and then she'll send something. I'm like, and she sent a clip. It's a show that is on something. I think it's a Netflix show, and it's about these ancestral practices that women of African descent are doing in Louisiana. And of course, these are my people, right? These are our people,
Yeah.
So I'm
Our
like,
people.
yeah, like whatever. And one of the women was talking about how her name means da 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 da, and so her name just so happened to be Renee, which is my middle name. And she was like, "Yes, I mean, this is literally the prefix of this. It comes from Renaissance." And so recorded it and she sent it to me, and she was like,
Wow.
"Mom, because it's your middle name. It comes from Renaissance." And I'm like, and the person was talking about living into the power of your name, which we know is very, very much a thing in West African culture. This is why
Hmm.
people's names are favor and, or God sent or things like this. So I was like, okay, wait. So my name is Tamika Renee. That Tamika means tempest, and
Hmm.
Renee is Renaissance. So I'm like, yeah, she came in like a wrecking ball, like,
Yeah, for real.
yes.
I'm
And
here
I'm
for all of
like,
that.
yes, I'm going to lean into that. I'm going to live into that because you know what? I'm going to walk in my titular integrity. My name is
Yes.
saying disrupt shit and be a futurist and think about things differently. And so that's what I'm going to do. And this, again, the importance of naming things and having them mean what they mean.
Hmm. Man, I need to find out what Nicole means. I feel like Ash is like Ashley is from like Ashwood. And I'm going to take that to mean that I am solid as a being. Hmm.
Oh, it is.
Um,
Of course, I looked it up. It's dweller near the ash tree meadow.
dweller near the ash tree meadow.
Hmm.
I like it. Nicole.
Is the feminine of Nikolaos, which of course comes from the Greek name Nikolaos, which my Greek friend Evie, shout out to
Nikolaus.
Evie, is going to say to every single person all the time. She's like, that comes from the Greek. It comes from Nike, from Victory. Victory and oh my gosh. Okay, so the Nike is the victory part and the
Uh-huh.
Laos is the people part. So it is victory of the people.
Yeah, so I'm just in the meadow being victorious with my people. And then my last name is French and it means curtains.
It means the end.
It means the end. Curtain. That's curtains for y'all.
No, no, no. It
That's
means
just the me being
it's
on the stage. It
no,
means
it's
period.
period. No, you are a dweller under an ash tree, ushering in victory for the people. Period.
Period.
That's your
Period.
name. That is your
I'm here for
name.
it. I'm here for it.
I also I just looked up my last name, my
Mm-hmm.
maiden name Caston, which is it was a cat's farmstead or settlement. So I'm chilling on the
On the
farmstead,
farmstead,
which
which is
I have.
super appropriate. Well done.
Coming in like a wrecking ball, doing things
Yeah.
differently from my farmstead, alongside my homie, dwelling underneath an ash tree grove, ushering
Mhm.
in. That means that we should be doing all this online. Y'all, go Google Google
Google your
your
names.
names. Google your names and live into that. Live
Yeah.
into that. I believe that that is the first blessing, the first prayer someone prayed over us, the first blessing someone gave us. We can walk in that and do things differently and, be more meaningful with your words. Like Don Miguel Ruiz says, like, be impeccable with your words. If a studio is saying, hey, teach this, and you don't know how to teach it, tell them, I need some training. Can you pay for it, please?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And as you were saying that early on in our discussion of like, the studio probably went to that teacher and was like, "We'd like you to teach us," and that teacher probably said, "It's not really my thing." I've absolutely had that conversation before. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I'm the one. You can do it. Can I? Maybe the better question is, should I?
Yeah, also.
Should I?
Like that part also. Is my is my brand as, beefcake, power yogi, that which is it's kind of like watching Cody Rigsby Elite Meditation. Listen, I love Cody Rigsby. I love Cody Rigsby. If you ever hear this episode, I need you to know, like, I am your number one fan. Also, I do think Peloton is sus for having you teach meditation classes. Like, please make it stop, because it is not your brand. It is not your
Yeah.
brand to guide meditation. Like, let's stop. I get it. You're popular. You want people to come in, but it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel, it feels wrong
Out of
on so
alignment.
many levels. Yes. I'm like, Cody,
Yeah.
please, like, do something different. But I get it. He's going to get his shmoney and he's going to do what they
Mhm.
say. And Peloton's the one that's wrong for that, actually.
Yeah.
So there you go. Anywho, although Peloton, if you'd like for me to teach meditation on your app, just kidding. Just kidding. Anyway,
This episode is brought to you by us fishing for sponsors.
look, this episode is truly brought to us by Starbucks, which I put into the camera more than one time as I was caffeinating. But I think that we can do better, and I think we will do better, and I think the culture will fall. I think we, you, me, you listening,
Mhm.
we are the culture we are culture making at any given time. So what is the culture you're making?
Period.
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 Rideau.
Or shall we say Rideau?
Rideaued.
Rideau.
Yeah. Well, that's it for me. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm going to take this lean into a full-on lie down.
All right. Feel better, my friends. And
Thank
for all
you.
of you out there, thank you so much for taking this ride with us. We look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same channel.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
I wish a ninja would.
Instead of ninja, my sister used to say neighbor. What are these neighbors doing? And then I just died because years and years later, then there started being all of these like urgent cares that popped up around Houston called Neighbors. And I laugh my butt off every time I'm in Houston and I drive by one of those Neighbors urgent care. And I was like,
The neighbors are here.
For us, by us. Subu?
The neighbors are moving in. The
neighbors are moving in.
Time to move.
You know, it's not even that I mind that there's one or two here. It's just the rest of them are gonna come now.
Here come the neighbors. Lord have mercy.
Here
There
come
goes
the
the
neighbors.
neighborhood. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Please, Neighbors Pharmacy, sponsor us.